And so, so far this week, we covered oral health, stomach health, small intestinal health, and we touched on a little bit of large intestinal health, but not much. Yesterday, day 4, was largely or primarily about liver health. And so now you are seeing how things work from top to bottom, and why it is so important to think about from the oral cavity all the way down what you might be doing right and what you might be doing wrong, and how you can do even better. So when we're thinking about our health and improving our health, 90% of the time we need to start with the gut, because 90% of the immune system sits around the gut. It's the entry point to the outside that our body needs to protect. You know, if our gut is being challenged all the time and is dysfunctional, and our immune system, then our immune system will in turn be dysfunctional. So that gets me to the other organ we're going to focus on, and that is the large intestine. I'm sure you probably hear my screaming kids in the background. I told them about 5 minutes ago to be quiet, but they're just totally ignoring that. Anyway, so as I was stating before, mommy's doing a video. Please close the door and be very quiet. So it's one of those Fridays. So as I was saying before, the large intestine is very important to talk about for the obvious reason. It is the, I need you to please close the door. Thank you. All right. So as I was saying, the large intestinal tract is the entry point to the outside. And so, as you can imagine, if we are not taking care of the stomach and the small intestine, well, how can we expect the large intestine to work the way it's supposed to work? The immune system is obviously a vital part of this. And so, as you can imagine, if your intestinal tract is not doing what it's supposed to, nothing is going to work the way it should. And so the immune system is automatically triggered by a higher than normal oxidative stress. And so that in itself will result in autoimmune conditions, cancers, and other chronic illnesses. The point I'm making is that we have to focus on our gut health every single day, because without a healthy gut, then we can't, deal with the other things effectively, like your hormonal health and just in general the health of your immune system. So when we're thinking about the large intestine, one of the most common things we hear is constipation. Most people are constipated, and a great majority don't realize that they're constipated. So what is the definition of constipation? I previously talked about in one of the previous videos some weeks back about constipation and what that really means. Now, if you are, a person or a friend of Google's, then you have Googled on your own and looked up what the definition of constipation is. Depending on the source that you use, you will see varying results from constipation, what is considered to be constipation. But in general, if you are someone that is only going to the bathroom once a day and you're going even less than that, that in itself is constipation. And so it's very important that we're making that connection, that if you are having 3 meals a day, for example, you should be going to the bathroom, and that's number 2, should be happening 3 times a day. And so that, I think to most of us, if not all of us, makes sense, right? Your body is essentially like a factory, right? You're putting food in and it's churning out the waste. If you are putting food in your mouth, into your digestive tract 3 times a day, and you're only going once, what's happening to all the other, all the toxins, all the waste that's coming out with the food? It's not coming out in that one bowel movement, right? And then you repeat every day. And essentially what's happening is things are getting backed up, right? And so, as you can imagine, if you are constipated, what you're doing is recirculating toxins and hormones and increasing your toxic load, right? And so this is going to disrupt what we call the 3 finite processes, which I already mentioned, and that is the immune system, inflammation, and oxidative stress. And so that is why it's so important that when we are thinking about our gut health and when we're thinking about what are the things that we should do to balance our gut, what are the things we should do to support our gut health, it is really important for you to have a sense of where you fall in this process, right? And if you are someone who is not having, like I said, regular bowel movements, and you are not going essentially after every meal, it is likely that you are in the realm of constipation. So the next thing to consider is what can we do to combat constipation or support our gut health to allow for regular bowel movements. Some things to consider includes the obvious: hydration. Are you drinking enough? And so how do you know if you're drinking enough? If, for example, if you are 200 pounds, you would divide by 2, and that is the amount of fluid ounces to drink daily. So for example, if you're 200 pounds and you divide by 2, that is 100, which means that you should be consuming 100 fluid ounces a day, 100 ounces of water. Now, at minimum, you should at least be having 64 ounces daily. Now, that 64 ounces daily is based on someone who is weighs around 128 pounds, right? And so, as you can imagine, if you are you're only drinking 64 ounces or less daily, then you are not drinking enough to support your body and what it requires. Okay. The next thing to consider is the quality of water. The water nowadays, as we know, is filled with pollutants, chemicals, toxins, bacteria. And so, in general, most of us are not consuming clean water. And there's also the thought about bottled water. And if we're not able to get clean, water that we can trust to drink in our home, a lot of people are turning towards bottled water. But there's also a concern with that. Depending on, how that water was collected, how it's stored, you're possibly and most likely exposing yourself to microplastics. And so that is also important to consider when you're thinking about water, hydration, and where you live, your home, and what you could possibly be consuming. Ideally, you would have a good point of source filtering system. And the point I'm making is that there are pollutants and pesticides, bacteria in your water, which could possibly affect your health. And of course, this varies depending on where you live and what your exposures are. And so I of course want to give people an idea of what they should be thinking about for a filtering system. A good filter system should have pressed carbon filter, should be high quality, there should be some kind of sterilization process, and that could be UV light, for example. There should also be a digital monitoring system that tells you when to change it. And that is the type of filter system that I have in my home, one that is able to tell me when it's time to change and allows for sterilization. You then have to decide if you want an alkaline water or something else. Of course, when we're talking about filtering system, just like most things, there's a cost. And so, it all depends on what your budget is and what is within your means to do. What I will do is at least place an example in the link, and I will do that after the video. That way, people can just take a look, check it out, see what, good examples are of a good filtering system, and then decide for themselves, if that is something that they think they need for their own health, for your individual health. And so we talked about several, components to a healthy gut, healthy system that allows for the toxins that we need to be released to exit our body effectively. And so that being said, when we're incorporating from top to bottom all the things that we need to get our gut health to work at its optimal health, sometimes we need a little bit of support. And so there are good supplements out there to bulk up the stools so that we have more water retention in those stools for better bowel movement in the large intestine. And so one example and option for people who are really looking to bulk up this stool is magnesium citrate. That is commonly used because it can hold water in the large intestine and allow things to move outside of the large intestine and exit the way that we want. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that anything that I'm discussing or, suggesting as a good support for your gut health, whether it's your gut health, your liver health, and just your overall health. Of course, it's important to also think about what your health conditions are, what medications you are on, and what is safe for you, what you're comfortable using, and whether or not something you're using might be interacting with something else. And so, again, it's very important when you're thinking about your body and what is working for you and what it isn't working for you to know that you should always use your best judgment with what you think, is something that will work and something that might not be a good option for you. So the large intestine, as I, was saying, for some people who might need a little bit of help, at least at the beginning of their process, it's good to consider, a possible supplement that can help with the things flowing along the way that they need to be. It's also important to remember that the large intestine is where there is an abundance of bacteria. The small intestine, of course, does have bacteria, but an abundant amount of bacteria is found in the large intestine. And so that's why it's important to get the other things right, keeping the stomach healthy, keeping the small intestine healthy, and, your liver health as good as possible, because that will give the large intestinal tract the best chance to have a balanced, healthy abundance of bacteria that is needed for it to function properly. And I did talk about the SIBO yogurt and posted a recipe there for people to use, and if they choose to help to, really allow for the right environment to have the gut bacteria that we want to live there. Okay. So I just again wanted to reiterate that constipation is anything less than 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. If you are eating 2 to 3 times a day and you are not having bowel movements twice to 2 to 3 times a day, then you are in that realm of constipation. And I think that makes a lot of sense to everyone, really, right? If you are going to the bathroom, if you are eating several times a day and you're only going one time a day, there's no way you're clearing all those toxins. They're just recirculating in your body and causing more oxidative stress, causing more inflammation, causing your immune system to go into overdrive, which then leads to a lot of health issues, including chronic illnesses. So as we end we're in our final day of this challenge, of the Gut Health Challenge, I want you to keep in mind that this is the start of your process, okay? You are not going to solve every single issue you have today. You are not going to solve every single issue you've had ongoing for quite some time. What we did today, these 5 days, is to get you on track with that journey that you need to go on to improve your overall health. And so, I'm looking forward to hearing from you what you thought was beneficial, what worked well for you, what you thought was really important and helpful throughout the week, and just how you're doing overall. So I will have some links there for people to take a look at for different filtering systems, what's good, what's bad. I will also have the link there for people who are they want to learn more about, what they can do to improve their health. They're looking for solutions for their unique health issue. I will have a link there for you to schedule a complimentary call with me. Of course, it's completely free. And I will have the link there for you, as well as there's always the option to DM me if you have a question and you just kind of want to learn a little bit more about your process and how to get to where you want to be in your health journey. So that's all I have for today. This was such a great week. People were excited about it and getting involved and sharing their experience with me, and really excited for what is going to happen and the transformation that's going to happen with each and every day that we stay committed to the better me, the better you. All right. So I hope that you had a great day and have a good evening, and I will see you in the next video.